Some discoveries answer questions, others just create more of them. Throughout history, archaeologists have unearthed objects, structures, and texts that defy easy explanation. Things that shouldn't exist, given what we thought we knew about the people who made them. From ancient machines nobody can fully explain, to entire cities that shouldn't exist, here are the 10 most mysterious archaeological discoveries ever found. From bizarre to genuinely life-changing. In the 1930s, archaeologists working near Baghdad uncovered a set of small clay jars, each containing a copper cylinder and an iron rod suspended inside, separated so they never touched. They're believed to date back roughly 2,000 years, to the Parthian or Sassanid period. Some researchers argue that if filled with an acidic liquid like vinegar or wine, the setup could actually generate a weak electrical current, essentially a primitive battery. Modern replicas have actually been built and tested, and they do produce a small, measurable voltage. Nobody knows for certain what they were used for. Some think electroplating gold onto jewelry, others suggest religious ritual or even medical purposes like pain relief through mild electric shock. What's not in dispute is that the design works, whether or not that was ever the original intention. In 1992, villagers in eastern China were draining a set of ponds they'd always believed were bottomless. Instead, they found an enormous network of man-made caverns underneath, carved out of solid rock with remarkably precise walls, evenly spaced chisel marks, and structural pillars left in place to support the ceiling. There is no historical document, inscription, or even local legend that explains who built them, how long it took, or why. Engineers who've studied the site estimate the excavation would have required removing hundreds of thousands of cubic meters of rock using nothing but hand tools, a project that could have taken decades of coordinated labor. And yet somehow, all record of the project simply vanished from history. Carved into the Peruvian desert over 1,500 years ago, the Nazca lines are enormous geoglyphs, some stretching hundreds of meters, depicting animals like a hummingbird, a monkey, and a spider, alongside geometric shapes and long straight lines. The catch? Most of them are only fully recognizable from the air, and weren't even discovered until commercial airplanes began flying over the desert in the 1920s. The people who made them had no aircraft, no hot air balloons, and no elevated vantage point, and yet the proportions are precise enough to hold up perfectly from thousands of feet above ground. Theories range from astronomical calendars to religious pathways walked during ceremonies, to messages meant for the gods above. But no single explanation is fully agreed upon by researchers today. Recovered from a Roman-era shipwreck off the coast of a small Greek island in 1901, this corroded lump of bronze sat in a museum drawer for decades before anyone realized what it actually was. It wasn't until X-ray and CT imaging technology matured that researchers could see inside it clearly. What they found was dozens of interlocking gears forming a mechanical computer. One capable of predicting eclipses, tracking the position of the sun and moon, and even accounting for the irregular orbit of the moon centuries before that irregularity was supposedly understood. Nothing else of this mechanical complexity appears anywhere in the historical record for over 1,000 years afterward. It remains one of the strongest pieces of evidence that ancient engineering was far more advanced than history books once gave it credit for. Discovered in Turkey in the 1990s, Göbekli Tepe is a massive complex of carved stone pillars, some standing over 5 meters tall and weighing several tons, arranged in large circular enclosures, and it predates Stonehenge by roughly 6,000 years. What makes it genuinely shocking is the timeline. It was built before humans are believed to have developed agriculture or permanent settlements of any real size. That means hunter-gatherer groups, who supposedly had no fixed homes and no formal social structure, somehow organized enough labor and planning to quarry, transport, and carve monumental stone architecture, completely reversing the assumed order of how early civilization developed. This handwritten book, believed to date to the early 1400s based on carbon dating of its parchment, is filled from cover to cover with an unknown writing system and detailed illustrations of plants, star charts, and diagrams that don't match any known species or known astronomical models. Codebreakers during both world wars, professional linguists, and even modern AI language models trained specifically to crack it have all tried and failed. Some suspect it's an unknown natural language or an elaborate cipher. Others believe it could be a deliberate hoax created purely to look meaningful. After roughly 600 years and countless attempts, it remains one of the only substantial texts on Earth that has never once been successfully translated. In 1974, farmers digging a well outside Jian, China, hit clay fragments underground and accidentally uncovered one of the largest archaeological finds in human history. Thousands of life-size soldiers, each with individually sculpted facial features, unique hairstyles, and different armor detailing, were built to guard the tomb of China's first emperor for eternity. Alongside the soldiers, archaeologists found terracotta horses, chariots, and even bronze weapons, still sharp enough to cut after being buried for over 2,000 years. Remarkably, large sections of the emperor's actual burial tomb remain sealed to this day, left completely untouched by choice. Historians and archaeologists are genuinely concerned that opening it with current technology could destroy fragile artifacts, pigments, or documents before they can be properly preserved and studied. Discovered in caves near the Dead Sea starting in 1947, initially by a shepherd searching for a lost goat, these scrolls contain some of the oldest known copies of religious texts in existence. Some dating back over 2,000 years, predating other known copies by nearly 1,000 years. Their discovery reshaped scholarly understanding of early religious history and confirmed the remarkable accuracy of religious texts passed down over centuries. Strikingly, some fragments were kept out of public access for decades after their discovery, tightly controlled by a small group of scholars, which fueled ongoing debate for years about what else may still be withheld, unpublished, or simply lost in private collections. Built entirely from stone, without any mortar holding it together, the walls of Great Zimbabwe have stood for nearly 1,000 years. Some sections stacked so precisely that a blade still can't fit between the individual stones today. At its peak, the site is believed to have housed thousands of people and served as a major trading hub connected to routes reaching as far as China and the Middle East. For decades, colonial-era historians refused to credit local African civilizations with building it, wrongly attributing it to Phoenicians or other outside cultures purely due to prejudice. Archaeology has since thoroughly proven those claims false. Even now, the full details of who exactly lived there, how it declined, and why it was eventually abandoned remain incomplete. In 1922, archaeologist Howard Carter uncovered the nearly intact tomb of the young pharaoh Tutankhamun, hidden for over 3,000 years beneath the sand of Egypt's Valley of the Kings. It remains one of the richest archaeological finds ever recorded, packed with solid gold artifacts, jewelry, furniture, and burial treasures that had sat completely untouched since the pharaoh's death. What followed only added to the legend. Within just a few years of the tomb being opened, several people connected to the excavation died, including the expedition's primary financial backer, who passed away just months later from an infected mosquito bite. Historians largely attribute the deaths to coincidence, age, and pre-existing health conditions rather than anything supernatural. But the pattern was well documented enough at the time that newspapers coined it the curse of the pharaohs, and it's still debated and discussed by historians today. Which one of these would you want to see in person? Let us know in the comments below. and subscribe for more countdowns like this one every week.